Good day, everyone. Eric from Helps YouTube Live. Another week beginning on February 9th, 2026. My name's Eric. I've been an attorney now for 48 years. The founder of Helps. Helps is a national law firm. What we do is we represent seniors and disabled persons who owe debt they can't afford to pay. Our most important message to seniors is that your income is protected, your Social Security, your pension, your disability, your VA benefits. It doesn't need to be used to pay debt you can't afford to pay. And it can't be garnished or taken from you. There's even a law that was put in effect in 2012 that provides that banks have to examine your bank account if you're garnished to see where the money came from. And if any money came from a federal source, you take the amount you get each month or for the last 60 days, and then they protect twice that amount. So if you get $1,500 in Social Security, $3,000 is protected in your bank account, even if some of the money in that account came from another source. So what Helps does is we represent seniors under what's called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. That's a law that was passed in 1978. Provides if you're represented by an attorney, collectors can no longer call or send you demand letters anymore. They have to leave you alone. So if you have questions, you can put them in the chat feature. I'll answer them there. But I thought today I'd start out by just looking at my our website. I don't know that there's a lot of information on our website that's really, really good. I haven't looked at it for a while. So I'm going to show you. We'll just take a minute or two and look at that. I think it's important to do that. Okay, here it is here. What is Helps? There's a really good video here shot years ago. What helps in 3 minutes? What is Helps? Explains retirement income is protected, adjusted, ditch the debt collectors, life-changing, affordable, how to enroll, message from Helps. And then down below, there's a list of articles. And I thought it'd be fun to take a minute and just look at these articles real quick on all kinds of topics. There's videos, but here's our articles. Look at I'll just pick one. Well, here's one. State tax debt. Well, that's not available. Where's my articles at? Oh, let me see here. Oh, here they are. Is my bank account protected? Article explains all that. Look, living without a bank account for seniors with guilt, how to stop automatic bank payments. That's a video. Debt settlement, seniors in bankruptcy. Article talks about that. Why you don't need to in almost all cases. So, if you get tired of hearing YouTube Live, or if you want more information, get on our webpage, www.helpsishere.org, and you can find a lot more information. Okay. There you go. So you might find that interesting. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat feature. I noticed there's a question already. Marty asked, if I got a 1099-C for my wife's name on it and she's been gone for 2 years, I don't have to worry about it. But what if I get some I don't have to worry about reporting them. If you don't file tax returns, no, you don't need to worry about it. Okay. Now, if you file tax returns, you're supposed to deal with the 1099-C. We talk about how to do that. Shouldn't have to pay any taxes. And if you're lower income or modest income, even if you were liable for some taxes because of that debt, you likely would qualify for what's called currently not collectible status. So 1099-C, in the vast majority of the times, the seniors we work with, is never a problem. Okay? But you can always call and talk to us. We'll go over it with you. Ms. H, when a senior files for bankruptcy, will that get rid of a judgment and or a judge from creditors? Well, that's the purpose of a bankruptcy, get rid of your debt and it gets rid of judgments. But for most seniors can't afford to file bankruptcy. They really don't need to file bankruptcy because no one can take anything from them. So, or even if they do get a judgment against them, like I said, they're judgment proof. No one can take their income. No one's going to take your assets. A lot of them simply don't need to file bankruptcy. Okay, this one, small town asks, I have a new question today. My mother still owes an IRS installment plan that she and my dad were paying. We have been able to pay it. Can they come after the estate later? Okay, first off, if you owe IRS taxes, they got 10 years to collect them. After 10 years, they can't collect them. Okay, so your mom could likely outlive the obligation to pay the IRS taxes. Um, and if there's you can always talk and we can go over this with you. Is the IRS debt allowed to garnish her wages or come after her estate later? Well, they can garnish wages. They don't do it very often. Usually with the persons we deal with, seniors, they have Social Security. The IRS doesn't go after the Social Security. The most the IRS could do on Social Security is send you a letter saying they intend to offset 15% of Social Security after 60 days, but that give you time enough to apply for what's called currently not collectible status and not have to pay the IRS. So if she did have an estate, any debt owed by the estate would need to be paid before the heirs get anything. But we could talk to you about this. Usually it never is a problem that would come up. Okay. So the title today was, I've got over my head with debt and need help. Well, that's what helps is here for. Uh, next person says, they give their name, I'm on Social Security along with a small pension, I'm drowning in debt, I need some help. So if you're over your head or you're drowning in debt and you're a senior getting Social Security or pension, disability, or VA benefits, this channel's for you. Okay, this is going to answer your questions and explain to you why you're going to be okay, why they're not going to take your money, and why you don't need to pay this debt. Okay? It's protected from them garnishing it. It's also protected after it's deposited in your bank account. The amount you get from a federal source, like Social Security, a VA benefit, a federal retirement like post office or railroad retirement, or if you worked for the federal government, twice that amount, including Social Security deposit in your checking account, is protected from garnishment by your bank. Now, if you happen to have more than that in there, it's still going to be protected. You have to file a challenge of garnishment or claim of exemption with your bank, with the court. But most of our clients tell me, Eric, I never have more than twice the amount of my federal benefit in my bank account. Well, then you don't need to worry. Okay? Person contacts us from California. I'm a senior citizen struggling with debt. Can you help me, please? Yes, that's what we're here for. We're here to help seniors. That's why, if you got any questions, look at our webpage. Look at those articles there. You can look at more of our YouTube videos. We have YouTube videos with senior living. We got lots of information available that's going to help you answer your questions. Okay. Person contacts us. They both receive Social Security. They have a small business selling at a farmer's market. and he sometimes does some handiwork. They live in a fifth wheel, but the permanent address is in Colorado. They have old cars that are owned outright with a tool trailer that's owned outright. It says all the vehicles are registered in Colorado but are in Texas. They received a call from a process server in Colorado saying they're trying to serve them with papers. It says they can't serve a post office box. What should they do? Don't need to do anything. Um, oh, I may have talked about this one. I don't know that I did before, but they were paying an SBA loan of $650 when their only income was like $1,150. Um, and I think I talked about this last week. Did I not? Let me look and see. Maybe not. So I told them stop paying the SBA loan. That's Small Business Administration loan, 650. If you did nothing, SBA likely isn't going to do anything. But the worst they could do is offset 15% of your Social Security. They're not going to sue you. They would just offset 15% of Social Security. If you only get 1150, that'd only be what would it be? 150, about $175 or less than that. Okay, $160, something like that. Wouldn't be a whole lot. 165. We can stop paying the SBA. Person contacts us and they say, well, let's go on back to this other person in Colorado. What about their income from their little business? No one's going to be able to touch that. If they put it into the account which they get their Social Security, if someone were to sue and get a judgment, which is going to be difficult for them to do, it doesn't sound like the creditors even know where they're at. But if they did get a judgment, they're not going to be able to take their fifth wheel. Their bank account, twice the amount, is protected. And even if they took money from selling at the farmer's market and put it into that bank account, as long as the balance in the bank account is less than twice the amount of their Social Security, which in their case would be like $2,300, no one could take that either. So they're going to be fine. And what HELPS does, if the creditors are harassing them when they enroll in HELPS, they're going to give us who they owe money to. We're going to send out a cease and desist letter out to those creditors, and they're going to leave them alone. Creditors are going to have to call us, not you. And if you ever have a question or concern, you pick up the phone and you call, no matter how often. That's what HELPS was founded for, so you wouldn't have to deal with creditors anymore. You got to leave you alone. So this person says, hi, I know that Social Security is protected, but about regular military retirement pension? The answer is a big fat yes, it's protected too. It's a federal benefit, it's a federal retirement, it's protected. And it's protected when it deposits in your bank account because it's a federal retirement form of federal retirement like Social Security, federal pension, post office, whatever. Twice that amount deposited in your bank account is automatically protected without you having to do anything. Now, if you had more than that in there, they could put a hold on the excess over twice the amount you get each month. But then you'd have to file challenge the garnishment or claim exemption to get it released. But as long as you keep it less than twice the amount of what you get in federal benefit, doesn't matter how much is in there. Okay, where it doesn't matter where it came from is what I need to say. Okay. Yeah, if you have any questions, put them on the chat feature. I'll deal with them. So this client, from California, they're enrolled with HELPS. They're 68. Just the wife is enrolled, and she gets $1,400 in Social Security. Okay, she got a notice of involuntary lien. She's renting where she lives, not buying a home. Um, so I think I talked to this lady last week. I can't remember. But different states have different legal forms. And if they get a judgment, sometimes they'll send you a form that really doesn't apply to you, but the idea is to get you worried so you pick up the phone and you call them and make arrangements to make payment. And so California has one of these forms. Notice if they get a judgment, they can send you a form saying, hey, there's a lien now placed on any land or real property you own. Forget the fact that in California, if you're homesteaded the property and it's worth less than about $700,000 or $600,000 on up, you can still sell the property. There's no lien. But it might apply if you had a property worth over $1 million. But you get a form involuntary lien, they think, oh no, they got a lien on everything I own, which is not the case. So it's just one of these things that different states, collectors in different states use to try to intimidate or scare people. Florida has what's called a fact information sheet where they ask a bunch of questions. Texas has a form that they do too. They got these, what do they call them? Civil deputies that apparently try to shake people down, and you think they're going to come take your property when in fact they won't. It's something done to try to scare people. Um, Person asked, if you keep a credit card and let the others default, this was on one of our YouTube videos. It said, if you keep a credit card and let the others default and charge off, since that lowers your credit score, won't that affect the card you keep? Well, it can, not always. It's possible that it might cause that card to lower your credit limit on that card. Not always. Um, First off, they'd have to find out about it. They'd have to do what's called a soft credit check. And a lot of times they don't do that, especially if you make your payment on time. They don't do that. So the worst that would likely happen is they could lower your credit limit. But is that likely? I would, based on people I talk to, I don't think it's likely. It's possible. So if it happens, I didn't say it isn't possible. Will they cut your credit card off completely? Unlikely. I don't see that happening. So this person contacts us. I have a water bill that will be past due, plus a gas bill that's never needs to get paid, an electric bill. I pay some money on the water bill. I thought, I don't know. He thought, looks like thought he had some insurance. I only get $962. By the time I pay my rent, $600, I don't have anything left. If you can help me, I appreciate it. Okay, I can't put more money in your pocket. Your income is really small. If you pay $600 rent, that only leaves you $362. Your income is small enough. I would tell that person, no matter what they do, they should consider applying for Section 8 housing. Now, you might tell me, well, Eric, there's a waiting period. Well, okay, so what? There's a waiting period. You can apply anywhere in the country. We have an email that tells you where you can get Section 8 housing in different parts of the country faster. If you apply now and you don't really need it, which is fine, maybe 2 years from now you will need it, and you'll be thankful you applied early when you did. If you apply for it and you're offered it, you don't have to accept it, but you very well may be glad you did. Um, Now, this person has this small amount of money. They don't have to use any of their income uh, to pay any of the debt. They can stop paying that. and their income's so small. If you're a veteran that served during time of conflict, that's from about 1965 through May of 1975 in Vietnam. If you were in active service for at least 90 days and served at least one day during that time period, you're likely going to qualify for what's called aid in attendance, which is a federal benefit available to veterans and their spouses that could supplement your income if you're especially lower income, which it would for this person. Now, if you apply for Section 8, a lot of times you can get moved up on the waiting list. We have emails on how to talk about that we can give people. Okay. This person contacts us. They say, uh, uh, here we go. Says, I am a senior citizen. I believe I'm a victim of predatory lending. I'm a naturalized American citizen, but my English is not that good. I have a hard time understanding people. I set up my Social Security directly deposited with Chase Bank. They had me sign some forms, not understanding what I was signing. Uh, I have a friend. I had a friend look into my situation and figured out I had allowed the bank to automatically pay the credit card that I had with them. Now, when my Social Security check is deposited, they take the whole check, force me to live off their credit card they provided for me. I maxed out the credit cards and was forced to ask a friend for help. Explained to me that Chase took advantage of me. My friend helped me by opening another checking account with U.S. Bank, and I transferred my Social Security direct to U.S. Bank. Now I'm stuck with over $15,000 in debt. I'm I'm thinking they owe that to Chase Bank. Can you help me, please? Yeah, you don't need to pay Chase Bank. Now, if you had the credit card with your bank and you didn't want to pay anymore, all you have to do is revoke the authority for the bank to take it out. That's easy to do. You can go on the phone and call them on the phone and say, I don't want you taken out automatically. Now, technically, the bank can't take money out of your account to pay a debt you owe them unless you give them permission to do that. Now, if you gave them permission, you can revoke that permission. Now, that's different with a credit union. With a credit union, whenever you make a loan or if you applied for a bank account, you gave them permission to take money out of your account to pay that debt you owed the credit union in case they needed to offset money. So if you owe money to a credit union, you're not going to pay anymore, then you're going to want to change and go to a different bank. But this person, they changed from Chase to U.S. Bank, which is fine. You could do that. And you won't have to pay it. Okay, so will I be available on the phone today? Yeah, for a while. Yeah, you bet. Person contacts us from Ohio. I was wondering how your agency could help me. We're not an agency, we're a law firm. But anyway, I have a judgment lien letter sent to me, and I was wondering if I saved up for a car eventually, could it be taken away under Ohio law? Would it all be in vain? Uh, Chance of them taking your car is pretty close to zero. What the law in Ohio is, I think the exemption for motor vehicles like 4,000 in equity, and if you're married, it can be doubled to what 8,000 or 9,000. But it's not the practice of consumer judgment creditors to go after people's cars. It theoretically can happen. It's just so extremely rare. It just doesn't happen that often. So in other words, let's say you had a car that was worth $6,000. Now, let's say you bought a car for 10,000 and you put 2,000 down. Now you owe 8,000 on the car. Um, um, you only have $2,000 equity, probably less than that. It's not 4,000. But let's say you had a car that was free and clear and worth $6,000. You thought it was, and you're entitled to a $4,000 equity. If a if a lender tried to take that car, they'd have to sell it and they'd have to come up with the money to pay you $4,000, which is your exemption. They don't do that because they know often they can't sell it for that much. They don't know the how good a car it is, if there's anything wrong with it mechanically. No. Chance of you losing a car, even if you have equity over the exemption for the state where you live, is really minimal. Can a court-appointed receiver do an ACH or debit on your bank account? Um, no, they can't unless you gave them permission to. Um, they have to do a writ of garnishment if they get a judgment against you. Uh, you know, we don't have clients that have a problem with a court-appointed receiver. That's it's really different. You have to talk to us about that. That's not going to happen. If you get sued on a debt, a creditor would have a judgment against you, and then if they went to garnish your bank account, uh, like I said, twice the amount of your bank account is protected automatically from garnishment. Twice the amount you get from federal source, regardless of what money's in there or where they came from. Julie says, I'm sorry, I got 2 credit cards. I don't know what to do. I just need money to pay my bills. What can I do if I don't pay them? Well, if you don't pay them, they can call you on the phone, send you demand letters. If they could theoretically sue you, get a judgment, but if your only income is Social Security or a pension or disability or, some type of retirement money, that's going to be protected. They couldn't take that. And the amount you hold in your bank account is going to be protected up to twice the amount of your federal benefit. So, no, you shouldn't need to worry about it. Person contacts us from Florida. I have always kept up with my bills, but due to recent life events, I have been unable to make ends meet. This is the first month I have missed credit card payments. Even though I explained my situation to the credit card company, they have started calling me for payments. Yeah, if you owe debt and they call you about your past due debt through the credit card company, if you explain why you can't make the payment, they don't care. The person you talk to, they don't have any authority to say we shouldn't call this person. They might make notes in the file, but they're going to still try calling you. You don't have to talk to them. If you enroll in helps, you're going to give those creditors to us. We're going to send them a cease and desist letter. Now, technically, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act only applies to debt collectors, but 7 states it applies to original creditors. And it's our experience that when we send a cease and desist letter out, we'll even send it out to an original creditor, and they're not going to call you. They may send you a demand letter, but that's about it. Okay? Rico says that they're in their 80s. Well, I had several credit cards charged off last year, with a couple making it to courts in the default judgment. My wife, who is living in another state, has no knowledge of what's happened. She's frail. Um, if they have no way of contacting her, probably don't even need to worry about it. You can't do anything to her. If she ever called you about it, you can have her watch helps or have her call us and we'll go over it with her, why she doesn't need to be concerned. Can I represent her in the information you ordered in March? You may want to talk to us. I don't think you're going to have to go to any hearing. Uh, that would be highly unusual that you'd have to ever go to a court hearing for one of our clients on that. So I want to talk about student loans for a second, just because I saw a few inquiries or people called about it. Years ago, there was called the Treasury Offset Program that could take 15% of your Social Security to pay for a past due student loan. We were the plaintiff in a federal lawsuit, a class action lawsuit. That our attorney was Northwest Legal Services. We filed it back in 2018, and that put a stop. There was a stop put to Social Security or the student loans offsetting 15% of seniors' Social Security for a couple of years. And then COVID hit, and the government stopped it anyway. And then they made an announcement last May that they were going to start up again. But then a month later, they made an announcement they're not going to do it. And this is what AI, or artificial intelligence, says the reasoning. The administration cited a commitment to protecting Social Security recipients, acknowledging that many older borrowers rely on these funds. That's the reason why they said we're not going to take your Social Security for a student loan. Now, they could still take it for younger people that are working 15% of their income, but not Social Security, at least not now. The scope of protection. The pause applies specifically to Social Security benefits. It is important to note that other voluntary collections, including federal tax refund offsets and potential wage garnishment, may still occur. Uh, uh, While the Social Security offset is paused, the Department of Education is encouraging borrowers to enter repayment plans to avoid future collection action. I don't know that it's going to start back up. Okay, I've said this before. I don't get political, but I've heard Trump say enough about Social Security not wanting to touch it. I don't think he's going to let them take offset Social Security for past due student loans. I don't think that's going to happen. And it stopped. They were going to do it for a month. They stopped it in June last year. I don't know if it even got to start up, so I wouldn't worry about it. But if it ever did happen, they'll have a program. It used to be called income-based repayment plan, where if you have lower income, which many of our helps clients do, they could get on a plan where they wouldn't have to pay anything. So I wouldn't worry about a student loan taking money out of your Social Security. They don't take it out of pensions. They don't do that. Just Social Security. They're not going to take it out of your bank account. Now, if you file taxes and get a tax refund, they could do that. But most of our clients don't get tax refunds. They don't file tax returns. And if you did, you could claim enough exemptions so that you weren't getting a refund to lose. So I wouldn't worry about a student loan right now. Okay? They're not gonna take your money. Person writes in, um, okay, here we go. I was served with a debt collection summons. How can I send a denial answer letter? Thank you. Well, okay. Well, I've never heard of a thing called a denial answer letter. There is an answer. So if you get served with a lawsuit for collection and you don't owe the money, then you can always contest the lawsuit by filing an answer. Okay, and it's not a letter; it's a legal form. Although most courts are pretty lenient with whatever kind of form you use to deny a debt. They'll take it as an answer and let you have your day in court. Okay, you can do that. But most of it helps clients don't. They owe the debt, so they don't want to fiddle with the court system, so they don't worry about it. And if they get a judgment, they can't collect from them, like I've explained. But there's plenty of websites that could help someone who wanted to try to defend a lawsuit if you had a basic for doing that. You don't have to, mind you, but you could. So if I stop paying the, William asks, if I stop paying the credit cards, what happens? Can I get another credit card? What happens to my credit? Well, your credit's going to take a dive. Um, Now, if you have an existing credit card that's still good, that isn't backed by a bank with you, and you have a credit card that you're not going to pay, there's no reason why you wouldn't keep that existing credit card. Just because you have another credit card doesn't mean that they're going to cut your good credit card off. Um, doesn't mean they're going to cut it off. Now, we do have a program, 7 Steps to a 720 Credit Score, for clients of HELPS that have been part of HELPS for at least 90 days. They can enroll in a program offered by 720 Credit Score. We pay this company, and our clients can enroll in that, and you can get your credit. Your credit is based on your recent credit history. So you can rebuild your credit up to 700 plus credit score within a year and a half to 2 years without a problem. When an answer is filed by a lawyer, is that accepted to the court? Except, yeah, well, it doesn't have to be an attorney. Answer can be, you can file, anyone can file an answer to your lawsuit. And I've seen a lot of times the court, even though it may look like some fancy form, some people might write the court a letter saying, I deny the claim. This are the reasons I deny it, and the court will accept that as an answer. But once again, you don't need to answer a lawsuit. If they, if you're getting Social Security or pension, your income's protected, your judgment proof, they can't really do anything to you. What happens when a helps client is sued? When one of our clients gets sued, you get us a copy of the lawsuit. We usually just need the first 2 or 3 pages. Need the name of the attorney and the case number. We're going to send that attorney a letter explaining that your income is protected. You're not going to pay it. You can't afford to pay it. We understand they're going to get a judgment. Remind them of the protected nature of your bank account, although it doesn't matter. It's protected whether we remind them or not. And then we're going to call you on the phone and explain why you don't need to go to court and why you don't need to worry. That's what HELPS does. And then the whole purpose of HELPS, when you enroll in HELPS, you're our client literally ongoing. It's not just one time, literally forever. So you don't have to deal with collectors again. See if I can show you something here. There we go. So I'm going to show you something real quick. We get a lot of people that get on our website. And here it is here. And they scroll down, they may look at some of the videos, then they fill out this form here. First, last name, phone number, email address, and then the state they live in, and they put a message. Am I a helps client? Yes, no. And then we respond to them. Okay? Get right back to them. Or you can call 855-435-7787. 855 helps us or helps us for immediate help. So that's how you get a hold of us. Do that whenever you want. Okay? Here we go. Person contacts us from Rhode Island, and they said, I need to save my house from bankruptcy on disability, Social Security disability. Well, if you don't make a house payment, uh, they file foreclosure. They don't file bankruptcy. Okay. Um, so if you can't make your house payment, um, I mean, you could file bankruptcy to stop the foreclosure, or you could sell the home. Just to let you know, this person in Rhode Island has a pretty generous homestead exemption. They protect 500,000 of the equity in the person's primary residence. So you could have a home that you owe 300,000 on, and it's worth 800,000. That's 500,000 worth of equity. They couldn't take it. A person could file bankruptcy, be able to keep the home, or you could sell that home. I mean, your creditors can't get at that equity. And different states have different amounts of equity they protect in homes. Depends on the state where you live. And a lot of states will protect all the equity in the home. Florida, Texas are two good examples. Ms. H. When you say someone will call from helps about the response to a court date of being sued, will that be from a number from another state? Getting weird calls from a lot of numbers. Um, I no. I think our phone just goes through our. I'm not sure. It's a good question. I don't think so. But you can always call us with questions. That'd be a good one to know, Miss H. I'll try to find that out for you. Tommy asks, does the court have to notify you of a default judgment in Texas? Um, the court normally wouldn't notify you. You'd get a copy of the default judgment from from the attorney that sued you. Court might send you a copy, but that's not necessarily the case. Yeah, hit the like button if you like this, or subscribe to our channel. Person contacts us from Wisconsin. I accumulated credit card debt over the last 10 years. I live on disability of under $1,000 a month. With inflation, I can't really afford to pay back all this credit card debt I've accumulated over the years. But I own my home and I make mortgage payment. What can I do about this? I've tried refinancing to pay off the debt, but there are judgments against me when they hear that no one will, and then when they hear that no one will refinance. Judgments in the factor of disability have been on for 10 years. Well, okay. Uh, so Wisconsin has a homestead exemption of 75,000 for a single person, 150,000 for a couple. But even if you had equity over and above that, we just don't see it as a practice. Creditors trying to go after a person's homes. They don't do that. And you got a mortgage on it, they'd have to pay off the mortgage, pay you your homestead exemption before they would get anything. And they just choose to let the judgment sit there, be a lien. You would call and talk to us. We'd go over your options. And a lot of times, most states, a judgment is good for so many years. After that, it goes away. Not always. Some states that the judgment can be renewed. Okay. But them taking your home is just really not a factor. That's not going to happen. Person contacts us from Nevada. I need assistance with a personal loan. I've spoken with you before, but now I may be being served. We'll call you tomorrow to discuss it. Yeah, that's what we do. If you have a question, call on the phone. We'll go over this. Person contacts us from Florida. Hello, I have no, looks like I already talked about this one. Mississippi, they say, I'm 73 years old and I lost $33,000 in a scam. I need any help I can get. Probably can't help you get the money back. You've been scammed. But I'll say this to anyone listening to me. If you suspect you're being scammed, please call Helps and talk to us. We probably talk to more seniors that are being scammed than any other organization in the United States, just because of what we do. And you don't have to be a member of Helps and talk to us if you're worried about being scammed. If someone's asking you to send them a debit card, Target card, or something like that, or trying to get in your bank account, or a romance, if you've got a romantic involvement with someone on the internet, and now they're asking for money, I'm sure it's a scam. There's just a lot of scams out there that can take seniors' money, and I don't want you to be scammed. Okay? You can always call and talk to us. Person from Oklahoma contacts us. They say, I'm currently on medical leave of absence from my job and have been since May of 2025. The incident I'm on leave for is subject of a equal opportunity charge against my employer. I'm fully disabled and unable to work anymore. I applied for disability a while ago and I'm still waiting on answers. I have a ton of credit card debt due to my medical expenses. I'm just trying to survive this year. Please help me on what to do. Well, you can call and talk to us. We can probably enroll you in help so these creditors aren't bothering you anymore. If you do get an award against your former employer because of that lawsuit, I'd bet that it's going to be exempt or protected under an estate law exemption, so you're not going to need to worry. So it says, I have tons of credit card debt due to my medical expenses, just trying to survive. You don't need to pay the credit card debt. You don't need to worry about it. And we'll be glad to talk to you and go over this with you. We don't want you to worry. Person contacts us from Texas. They say, I'm separated. I am disabled on Social Security. Had 2 strokes, mini strokes. I tried to, back in 2019 to 2022, I tried to help my husband start a business, but COVID hurt it and it failed. My health got worse. I took an SBA loan, but can't pay it back and need to file bankruptcy. Or do I need to file bankruptcy? So her only income is Social Security, and apparently, she may have some credit card debt, but she has a SBA loan, which is a Small Business Administration loan. That's a loan from the government to help them start a business. And apparently that loan is in her name and she's worried about that loan. She can't pay it. Can they do anything to her? It's possible the I don't know if we got disconnected or not. Cost of filing bankruptcy. That could be, you know, $2,000 or $3,000 total, maybe not that much, but it could be close to that. But she doesn't. But is the SBA going to automatically garnish 15% of her student loans? I mean, of her pay for an SBA loan? It happens, but not that often. Okay. If it were to happen, talk to us. We can talk to you. Person contacts us from Washington. Says, I have credit card debts that I cannot pay. I know that the IRS is going to be taxing me for this. No, you're talking about a 1099-C. No, it's unlikely they're going to, you have to pay taxes for not paying the credit card debts. Anyone who tells you otherwise doesn't know quite the full story. That goes on to say, I'm not sure what I can do. I'm terrified how much they can tax me for. Well, I'll explain that in a minute. Let's finish what you say here. Can someone talk to me about it? Yeah, we'll talk to you about it. Uh, I was trying to pay them, but I absolutely did not have any money left. I was going to the food bank and everything. I couldn't go to any medical appointments to get my asthma medicine. I own my home. I still owe money on it. I got into this mess because I was scammed by a contractor. I found out recently. I'm just wondering what I should do. Well, okay, you're lower income or poor. Okay. Uh, if your only income is Social Security, you're not required to file taxes. And if you are required to file taxes, and if you're insolvent, which means your debt exceeds your assets, you can file Form 982 and not have to pay a tax. For a gazillion reasons, you're not going to have to pay taxes on a 1099-C. You can call and talk to us. We have videos that talk about this, but I wouldn't worry about it. And then these other debts you have, I mean, if you enroll in HELPS, you're going to give us those other debts. You're not going to have to pay them. You're just not going to have to worry. Okay? The chance of you being owing any taxes because you didn't pay any of this debt, and even if you did owe the tax, your income's going to definitely be enough that you would qualify for what's called currently not collectible status with the IRS, so you don't have to pay the tax debt. Don't need to worry. Okay? Can a senior file for bankruptcy for legal aid for assistance? Unlikely. Most legal aids don't bother with filing bankruptcy for people. A few years back, there used to be some free bankruptcy clinics through law schools and stuff. You remember I filed 30 to 40,000 bankruptcies before I started help, so I know about companies that file free bankruptcies for seniors kind of can do them a disservice. Why? Because they don't need to file bankruptcy for one thing. Their income's protected. If they're going to file bankruptcy for free people, they should do it for the people that really need to file. But legal aid doesn't file bankruptcy for people. I imagine there could be an exception. I'm not aware of it. But there's 50 states. I just don't think they do it. They get money to cover certain areas. Okay. This person contacts us from Washington. They say, my husband and I would like to sign up for your help with our debts. My husband has a cancer. I'm caring for him at home. We're both in our 70s. Our income is Social Security. It's protected, right? And my state pension is protected, and Larry's VA and her husband's VA pension. We understand that we would, okay. We have medical debt and other debt. We're having a difficult time financially. Do you mail forms for retaining your help and forms to list our debts? We'd like to sign up. No, you call us on the phone. If you decide you need our help, you call us on the phone. We're going to ask you a bunch of questions, not that many. And then if you decide to enroll, we're going to enroll you over the phone immediately so that you're a client. The payment won't begin until 30 or 60 days in the future. For example, if someone signed today and they got paid Social Security on the 3rd of the month, the payment wouldn't begin until April 3rd. Okay? So no, you don't fill out a form. We make it easy for people. For Chapter 7, I bought a book and did it myself. Well, that could have been years ago. They now have what's called a means test, um, which is kind of a mathematical calculation. That was done when the bankruptcy rules were changed in 2004. God, hard to believe it is that long ago. And when that did, it kind of did away with people filing bankruptcy on their own because it became really complicated. When the bankruptcy laws changed back then, the cost for filing bankruptcy almost doubled because it was a lot more work. Okay, just got a couple more minutes. So a person contacts us from Florida. They say, I'm retired and only on Social Security, and I enrolled last year with a debt consolidation program. Yeah. My question, I ask you, if you enrolled with them, did they tell you that your income was protected? You lived on only Social Security. They couldn't. No, they didn't tell you that, did they? No. The person says, I can't afford to pay them anymore. I canceled payments with the company. I heard about you, and I know that you can help me to join your. Yeah, we can help. You don't need to pay that debt. These debt management or debt settlement companies, they'll tell seniors a lot of things, but the one thing they won't tell them, with rare exception, is, by the way, your Social Security is protected, so is your pension. You don't need to pay this debt. You don't need our help. Instead, they sign them up, putting them many times into utter poverty, making a payment that the senior simply does not need to pay. Okay. Person contacts us from Louisiana. This will probably be my last one for today. It says, I get $830 a month from Social Security and have had a hard time paying my electric bill. They went up and now I can't pay my credit card payments. I feel so upset because I know I did it to myself living off them. Well, don't be upset. It's just life. You thought you were going to be able to handle things and you can't. You couldn't. You didn't do it intentionally. It just happened. So you don't need to pay the bill, credit card debt. You can use that money to pay your electricity. Okay, so it's been an hour or close enough to it. Um, if you have any more questions, you can put them in the comments, or you can make comments if you want. Press the like button, but you call us down below, 855-435-7787. Don't want you to worry. You'll be glad if you have any of these problems. You'll be glad that you call us. People who call us are really, they literally get a lot of relief. They realize they don't need to pay the debt and they're going to be okay. And so I'm saying that to you. Okay. So don't hesitate to call us, and I will be here tomorrow, same time. God bless. Have a great day. Bye.